All right, guys. I thought I'd do a bit of an update. I've been collecting information from a lot of the membership this week. Some of my conversations have made it to YouTube. Some haven't, and then some have had some technical uh, difficulty, and uh, and I had to reschedule. So I've got a little bit of a gap in. In my schedule right now. So although I do have 3 interviews tomorrow, um, but I thought I'd take the time to kind of go over this data. It's been kind of, I guess, a little over a week since I've looked at this, makerspacedata.com, and I just wanted to kind of get some maybe some insight based on the conversations I've had over the last week or so, and and I've been focused mostly on community-related, uh, fields, trying to get a kind of a big picture perspective. But one thing I found a little interesting, and it didn't really make it to some of the published cuts, but there was a little bit of talk about um, honorarium-related uh, things that happened over the last few months, or I guess last year. And I remember it was a bit of a debate that, I mean, I actually jumped into the debate a little bit, but I wasn't aware of the, I guess, impact, financial impact. I mean, I imagined that there would be, but what I'm seeing here on the graph as far as the honorariums go is that when the board transitioned, there was a dramatic cut in spending, and fewer teachers were paid, for fewer classes were taught, and I believe it was an effort to save funds. And if if you notice here, there is a bit of a decline right before the transition from one board to the next. And having experienced a week's worth of campaigning for the board of directors, I've discovered that there's a lot of contention that could potentially cause membership to be flat. And this area right here, going from I guess the a month or two before the actual handoff from one board to the next, it is flat. It's flat right here, which is consistent. And and when it gets really contentious, like now, okay, and over a year ago, last I guess March or so, it would be about as contentious then as it is now. And I'll tell you right now, I've already been I've already had 3 formal complaints filed against me in the last few days or so because of my videos, and it's I mean they're low quality formal complaints by far. I guess to uh, I guess it's a type of bullying or harassment. I mean, in the legal world, it's called abuse of process or um, maybe malicious prosecution. But it's being used as a tool at Dallas Makerspace to actually bully candidates. And as a candidate, it's I mean, it's not very effective on me because I'm I don't have a whole lot. Um, I guess I mean I'm not really going to the space a whole lot because of COVID-19, and it's I can do pretty much everything I need to do here. I don't even honestly most of the stuff that I do, I don't even need to be a member. Um, I mean, I can keep pushing out YouTube videos with or without a membership, so I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of the threats of ban. And this is actually one of the incumbents actually initiated the the formal complaint, and which I find a bit bizarre and humorous, um, because apparently my YouTube videos he considers harassment. It does kind of explain some of the trouble, or at least some of the intuition that I'm getting, some of the insight that I'm getting um, with the culture. If this kind of culture is like a permitted culture, like and I've had plenty of conversations with people who claim that leadership in Dallas Makerspace currently, um, over the last year, I guess a little over a year, has been abusive, um, unfortunately. And I mean, nobody wants to. Uh, Members typically um, wouldn't want to stay a member if they're mistreated. So I don't think it's just me as a candidate for the board. I think it's quite a number of people. But that's not the only concern I have. But like I said, the contention would happen before the board transition and cause, I think, a flat membership, and maybe even a slight decline in the month prior to the board transition as the contention boosts. And you can see that's sort of happening here. Of course, I remember in this particular month, from the 2018 to 2019 transition, there was no contention at all, that I remember. I think the president ran a second time, and she she was like she got a lot of votes. I don't think there was a lot of contention in that at all. So you wouldn't really see a whole lot of trend similarities. Let's let's see here. Okay, so there was not a whole lot of contention here. So there, because I believe, so from the 2017 to 2018 board transition, there was no real contention, and it was kind of a smooth, um, with I think at least one, or I think I can't remember who was on the board then. I know one person transitioned at least from one year to the next, without a whole lot of conflict. But if you go back the year prior to that, you see that it's flat again. There's an incline, and then it's flat right before the transition, like during the election season. Okay, it's flat, and then it starts rising again. Now, if I remember, there was a little bit of contention from the 2016 to 2017 board. I remember, or when the 2017 board transitioned to the 2000, if I'm getting this right, 2000. Let's see, what date is this? The 2016, 2017 board transitioned to the 2017-2018 board. I remember this was the freebie shelf incident. Okay, the big contention was over the freebie shelf, and if I remember, Luke Olson was running for board, and he incidentally did not get elected a second term, um, because I think he was in support of Brandon Green, who was basically responsible for all of that mayhem and catastrophe that over the freebie shelf, and that didn't go very well. But again, that's not a whole lot of, compared to here. We don't see a whole lot of contention. The big difference, I remember, is for the first time in history, we've had um, Dallas Makerspace former president, Andrew Cody, filed a lawsuit against four of the previous board members for banning him, for something. I can't remember exactly what, but banned him for like 9 months or something along those lines. and a lawsuit ensued, and because of all of that drama, I believe it caused an initial, maybe like a panic, where we had a number of people, or at least a statistically significant number of people, leave the organization, and where I guess the culture seemed to be in decline after that. Now, if we look at how big of a culture shock this organization took during this transition, along with the lawsuit-related incident, there was a huge spending um, change. So a lot of the spending on honorariums, and if somebody watching isn't familiar with how the honorarium system works, um, Dallas Makerspace pays teachers $50 to teach a class with fairly low, restrictions on the teaching. It does the class does go under a type of peer review before it gets approved. Um, but I believe in this case, the spending was cut dramatically, and to the point where people didn't want to teach anymore at all. Some teachers left, if I recall, and just stopped teaching altogether because it their particular lifestyle, um, wasn't compatible with teaching one class every month or two classes every month or whatever the limitation was. Um, I mean, it would be suitable for, say, I don't know, like somebody with a regular 9 to 5 job that would come and teach. But I do recall there was some like entrepreneurs and people that work from home that would teach on a regular basis because they were available, and oftentimes they would work from the space and teach regularly. And those people, I guess they left or went somewhere else, or possibly, and that could be part of the reason why we have a decline because of the teachers. But I mean, at least a fraction part. But if the purpose of an educational organization that teaches people how to use tools, if the tools can't be accessed because training requirements are still in place, and there aren't any teachers to teach the classes that are required to use the tools, it would seem to me that if the teachers left, it would give cause for members to, not want to stay members because they're paying $50 a month, and so you see people who decide that they want to spend their $50 a month somewhere else because the classes aren't available. They aren't able to take the classes they need because they're not available. Teachers aren't available. I did get several people contacted me privately and said that, including my wife, my wife complained that she couldn't use any of the tools because all of the teachers, all the classes were booked and far in between, and she couldn't get certified for the classes that she wanted to use the tools that she wanted, and so for her, the space became more of a building with tools that you could look at, and she was on my add-on. Only cost $10 a month to keep her on, but she didn't have any use of the space. She never went. I mean, she kept an eye on the calendar, but she just couldn't make it work. And the few people that did contact me about that, the same issue, said that they had to pay people directly, usually by the hour or something, at a premium, $20, $30, $40, $50, just to get certified on tools, which just seems kind of bizarre from what I remember. my experience with the whole purpose of having uh, classes, and back when we first started teaching classes, the idea was to teach classes as a marketing strategy, so that we can get more members to come, and we would market or put classes manually. We didn't have a system to do this, and I think, but we would put classes manually on Meetup, and when we put classes on Meetup, we had people from Meetup come to our classes, use the classrooms. The classes would make, and oftentimes there would be a number of people, a percentage of people from the class would convert to members, in many cases that day. And so I certainly know that teaching classes increases the membership growth, simply because it's a viable tool for marketing the space. People who would otherwise never even know about Dallas Makerspace would see a class on a third party platform like Meetup, and would be introduced to the space that way, and that would be a free marketing tool. And of course, that no longer exists anymore. The other thing I wanted to look at, other than the dramatic spending drop in honorariums and the classes that aren't being taught, is the number of board meetings that were increased from one board transition to the other. Now, there was a bit of kind of a larger cluster of meetings that occurred right before the transition, and I think that had a lot to do with the contention that was occurring at the time, and which eventually led to a lawsuit. And if you look, that pattern of what I would see as micromanagement, having all of these meetings that aren't being delegated out, maybe emergency meetings. It says here, red dots in red or board meetings that are unscheduled. Okay, I don't know about the rules, but are unscheduled, and vertical positions have no meetings. Okay, so the red dots are unscheduled meetings, which seem to be an insane number compared to prior boards, which that intuitively, that to me speaks micromanagement. There shouldn't be It shouldn't be necessary to have so many meetings if you are organizing your organization properly and delegating out the responsibility. So that's my first impression. So one thing I'm going to look at going forward from this update is the honorariums. Okay, I'm going to ask lots of questions about honorariums and the board meetings, and then the other weird metric was the permanently banned dots. So now I have experience with bans because I was banned, by a previous board. The 2016 board banned me as their first act of service to the space, and and I was banned for 9 months for making a button that was a negative campaign towards one of the incumbents that was running for board that year. That ironically had a bit of a reputation for being in favor of banning people. So I got banned for politics, for political reasons, in 2016, and quietly, just for the sake of Dallas Makerspace's growth and health, didn't respond in any type of. I certainly wanted to file a lawsuit because it was not a justified ban, but it just seemed like it wouldn't have made any difference. It only would have hurt Dallas Makerspace to file a lawsuit against anybody. But if you look, if you look here, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on in the 2016 or 17 and 18 board and 18 and 19 board. I don't know what all of these are. Joe and I. Okay, so I'm gonna research some of these people and see what their infractions are and compare them to all of these people and see what their infractions are. And it just seems like there's a lot over here it seems really odd. Um, and some of these names I know. Actually, yeah, I recognize some of these people's names. And I certainly recognize that name, Stan Simmons, who was banned. And I know David, and of course I know Chris. So yes, there was a number of people who were banned for reasons I mean, some of them I have insight on some of them, but some of them I don't. I'm going to have to go and just kind of figure out what's going on. But it just, I guess this intuitively, this speaks to me that there's a huge policy shift, a change in standards at the Dallas Makerspace that maybe put people off guard. I'm not entirely sure. But a great deal of enforcement of rules or something like that that caused permanent bans of all these people. Now, I don't, like I said, I don't know the backgrounds on all of these. Some of them I do, but the number of bans alone, even if they're all like murderers, I mean, I mean, if they were known murderers, I'm sure everybody would sing hallelujah that they're gone. But it occurs to me, like, some of these people I know had like I know Larry Garcia, for example, had because he reached out to me once and said that he got banned over microwaving a chicken or something like that. And I'm going to have to follow up with him again and maybe even have a call and see what happened. See, at least get his side of the story if he's interested in talking. And maybe I know Stan was very contentious too, as far as that went. And I know there was kind of a halt to the number of bans, the frequency of bans after Stan got banned. I wonder if Stan would be interested in telling his side of the story, because I know a lot of people liked Stan, and he was a friend to a lot of people, and I know there was I know something happened, but I don't know the whole story. It caused a lot of people to question, like the grace of the leadership. Um, it I don't know. I'm gonna see if I'm trying to get the bigger picture here, and see exactly what happened. It seems to me like Stan's band in particular caused a great deal of grief with a lot of people, and a lot of mistrust. And actually, that mistrust in general, I think, was pretty high because of all the contention going on with the lawsuit and everything else. So my thoughts are that a lot of this is entangled. So I'm going to have to get some more information on exactly what is going on, because you, there's so many changes that are occurring all at once, and the it, the discipline policy appears to be heavily enforced in comparison to previous years, and the honorarium spending was way, way, way down, um, which would also cause people not to want to come to Dallas Makerspace. The number of board meetings indicate micromanagement, which would cause morale drops in the membership, too, especially if it trickles down to the committee structure and complaints of too much board oversight or something along those lines. And then I guess I want to look at one other thing, the net income, which at first glance, I mean, if you look at all of the negative drops here, I mean that seems. I mean, this is basically like I don't know, saving money and spending large expenditures would be what this represents. Okay, so saving up money and then making a major purchase or something like that. I don't recall what occurred during these months. I'd have to investigate what the purchases were. But this is actually pretty normal for somebody who, for an organization that saves money and then makes a major purchase. And then if you look at the change in trend, you go from a a save and spend type of pattern of spending pattern to a just there's no saving and spending at all here. It looks like it's just probably spending as you go. Um, so I think what that would translate into, instead of having large expenses and large purchases, could be toys, large tools or something like that. Um, if if that doesn't occur, if you don't make large purchases, you're not saving or something like saving for uh, a large draw, uh, a large tool that might bring buzz, might bring new members, then you would see attrition occur in the membership too, simply because you have a conservative spending pattern here that 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 really doesn't focus on the needs of the membership. Um, so so I'm seeing here a conservative board that uh, really prefers not to spend a lot of money, um, and is reasonably, I don't know about reasonably, is aggressively removing people from the membership for various reasons that haven't occurred in the past. So I'm sure the reasons have occurred, but the frequency hasn't occurred. So we have, for the first time in history, um, you know, a extremely large number compared to the past, an extremely large number of bands, and not just this chart doesn't even include like temporary bands. This is permanent bands, and um, permanent bands would mean to me somebody that has, like, assaulted somebody, or stolen large sums of money, or something like that. So basically, harm the space to the point where we had no choice but to remove them forever. So that, which to me would be a last resort. But and I'm sure the decisions that were made in all of these cases were a last resort. But I'm going to go ahead and take a look at these, and maybe even have some of these people, come and explain their side of the story, just to get a bigger picture. of what's going on, if they're willing to. And of course, there's always two sides of the story, and we should have on record a lot of these people's reasons for getting banned. So I'll dig out the minutes and any other documentation. I might have to request some, or have the person banned request some, or whatever, um, and just or maybe even have some of the leadership responsible tell their side of the story too, just to make sure we have everybody's opinions represented, if they're willing to speak to me anyway, during an election campaign. Um, but but yeah, that's so these are the things I'll be thinking about moving forward, and I'll see if I can dig into some more of the details, and see if I can validate some of these hypotheses, I guess, some of my intuition on this, and see if it aligns. But I guess for now that is all I have. I'm going to go ahead and end the video. So like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys next time.